Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hazard TV. Today I'm going to be talking about something that has been, stewing around since 2015. That is with the Dukes of Hazzard. And if you know any history about the Dukes of Hazzard, you'll know that 2015 was an extremely rough year for the Dukes of Hazzard and Dukes of Hazzard fans. So in 2015, first off, we lost Jimmy Best. Jimmy Best, if you all don't know, was Roscoe P. Coltrane, the head sheriff in Hazard County, and that was a big loss for the Dukes of Hazzard community. And then shortly after that happened, there was some sort of thing that happened with the TV people, and they decided that the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard was unfit to be on streaming television, um, which is complete, BS. Saying that um, the show, I have to say, the show at the very beginning had a little bit of swearing, but hardly any swearing. And that isn't the reason why they took the Dukes of Hazzard off the TV. And if you've been in the Dukes of Hazzard community long enough to know, and I was a Dukes of Hazzard fan way after this had happened. I think I became a fan in 2022, I believe, and that's whenever I first saw the Dukes of Hazzard for the first time. And it really changed my life, and that's the reason. One of the major reasons that I'm in to diecast cars and cars in general is because of that show right there, The Dukes of Hazzard. Um, so there was hardly any swearing. I think one person in the entire 7 seasons, 147 episodes, one person got shot. That's it. And for a TV show, back then, that was still pretty low, but even now, that's the most PG thing. Heck, they could probably put that on PBSKids.org. They could probably put that on that channel. Not really, probably, just because of Daisy. Um, but the reason that the Dukes of Hazzard is being kicked off the air back in 2015 is this. Now you'd be thinking, that's just the General Lee. Yeah, but if you know one thing about the General Lee, what does it have on it? The Confederate battle flag. Or I like to refer to it as the rebel flag, because being rebellious, fighting against the system to do the right thing, because not always is the law going to be correct, ever. And we've seen that throughout the 250 years of the United States of America. The United States of America has had a lot of flaws, the Civil War being one of them. But the Civil War, we have learned from our mistakes, and back then in the 1970s and 80s, that flag doesn't mean what it means today, because people didn't make it mean what it means today. Back then, it was just the flag of the South. It was just something that was just represented the South. The lower parts of the states like Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, those kind of places that are just kind of southern, and they got a real strong southern accent, just like me. Um, and back then, like I said, the flag just represented the South. It did not represent anything more than that. Now, people that are non Dukes of Hazzard fans have seen the car. They probably have never seen the show, and they're making assumptions that the show is bad because that flag is on the top of the General Lee, and they immediately take in their brain, goo, that show is bad. Which I mean, to be fully, for me to be fully judgmental of something, I have to first watch it, and then I can then judge it, just to say. And yes, do I think that slavery and all that stuff is bad? Absolutely. I don't think anybody should be put through what the slaves were back then. Um, but the rebel flag is just a symbol of the South. I think of it as they did back in the 1970s leading up to 2015, because probably the people that changed the thought of that flag, um, and the reason that they complained probably and took the show off the air was because they thought that that flag was offensive. They thought that the flag represented slavery. Not necessarily. If you think about it, the back in history, if you go through the Civil War history books, the South, the Confederate States of America, actually had a different flag than what's on the roof of the General Lee. That flag is the rebel flag or the Confederate battle flag. It's just the battle flag. It's like, for example, it's similar to the U.S. Army, or just it's the military symbol. It's the military flag for just the military side of things. It has just that meaning of representing the military of the South. The Confederate States of America flag, however, I could see how you would think that, because it does have some meaning to it, but we don't see that flag anymore. You know why? Because it's locked in history. I have never seen a real uh, com- uh, Confederate States of America flag ever in my lifetime. The only time I've seen it is a picture, kind of a rough estimation of what that flag looked like. And let me tell you, if you look it up, it doesn't look anything about like the rebel flag that is on the roof of the famed General Lee. And also, one thing I have to say, the Confederate flag or the rebel flag, however you want to refer to it as, it means to me, and probably to the rest of the fans, the exact same thing. That is just like the decals where it says General Lee and '01. It's just another decal on the car. Yes, granted, it does make the car what it is, but the show itself was not racist in any way, shape, or form. Name one time the Dukes of Hazzard was racist. I'll sit here and I'll wait. I mean, I'll pause the video if you need to and go watch every single freaking episode of the Dukes of Hazzard and tell me if you see something racist, because you won't. You won't. That is the most PG. I'd say it's PG-12 other than PG-13. I'd put that at PG-12, because the shows that I see today are rated R compared to the Dukes of Hazzard. The Dukes of Hazzard was about the short shorts, fast cars, car jumps, family values, and doing the right thing. That's it. That's all the Dukes of Hazzard was. That's all. That's all it was. And you have these farm boys, um, that are fighting the system with the corrupt county commissioner Boss Hogg. And Boss Hogg, as you know, he is as crooked as any other politician. And politicians, they're been known to not do such good things. And they have manipulated things to where they can make it exactly the way it is while still trying to get it past, some of the other um, people to make it work, so to speak. And I mean, let's be honest. All politicians are manipulators. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. All politicians are manipulators. I mean, you're gonna have to be honest. I mean, whoever is watching this, whether, like I said, if you're rather Democrat or Republican, you cannot deny that all politicians are manipulators and they're crooked in their minds. Yes, granted, there are probably some good politicians out there, and there are probably some very good ones. Like, for example, um, I don't know if this guy counts as a politician, but Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was not crooked in any shape, way, or form. And I'm not saying that I'm a Democrat. I'm not saying that I'm a Republican. I'd like to keep that private. But you have to be honest. Charlie had a passion, and that's what he went for. And he wasn't crooked in any way he did. He wanted to have a verbal conversation with it. So rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. But back to the Dukes of Hazzard. Um, so I was going to the point where it was just about the boys fighting the um, system of the law, which at the time was corrupt, which is corrupt, and they were trying to do the right thing against Boss Hogg's all his schemes and stuff that he does, just like any other politician. And another reason I think that the show was taken off is because that the show showed um, basically these guys going against the law to do the right thing. And I think the law didn't approve of that, because then there would be all these people that are thinking, you know what, we need to stand up for what is right, and we should. And if you hear this message, we absolutely need to do that. We know what's wrong. We know what's wrong in this. Um, I don't want to say it's corrupt as Hazard County was, but it's in this entire world is messed up. It's messed up, and I mean somebody has kicked a hornet's nest. Um, and that could be any politician from Germany, Russia, you in the U.S., anywhere. Somebody could have kicked a hornet's nest, but I feel like that the politicians also stick their foot in this. They were like, "Oh, we do not need to be showing this because this is going to show people to be rebellious against our schemes," and then they'll try to fight against us to not allow us to do this crooked scheme that we're thinking up. You seen a flashback to the Dukes of Hazzard? Yeah. You know how Boss is like, oh, I'm gonna get them, I'm gonna get them Duke boys. Roscoe, you get them Duke boys. But the government that and also TV programs are afraid to show the truth. The news is also probably half of it's probably not even true. It's been manipulated. Some things have been left out. Some things have been kind of twisted around and fidgeted with a little bit to just make it just sound just the way that they want it, which is probably not even true, but they make it sound true. And if you look at the evidence, it kind of lines up. I mean, there's probably going to be a couple of points that don't line up, but it's all, I mean, it's driving me nuts on how they could have taken off a show like this, but there's one thing that they're not going to be able to stop. They're not going to be able to stop the spread of people that have watched the show, passing it down to younger generations. I'm a perfect example of that. My dad, huge Dukes of Hazzard fan whenever the show came out, and that was what he watched every single week. He said he watched Dukes of Hazzard and then he watched Hee Haw, which is crazy to think, but those are also two of my favorite shows, is Dukes of Hazzard and Hee Haw. I don't watch new shows anymore. I don't. I used to whenever I was, knee high to a grasshopper. I used to watch um, some of the new cartoons and stuff, like uh, the new Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. That was one of them I watched. And I just watched that kind of stuff that was kind of educational sort of thing. Um, so I watched that, and then I got hooked on Looney Tunes because I had a little DVD set of Looney Tunes, and there's a whole thing going on with Looney Tunes, which I'm not going to go into detail about at all on this channel. But you can probably, if you want to search it up, you can. Um, So I watched Looney Tunes, and then I got hooked on old shows. I started watching Andy Griffith with my family. I started watching Hee Haw. Started watching the Dukes of Hazzard. I started watching all of them old shows, the Beverly Hillbillies, all of them, and those are all great shows. They're great shows because they're funny. There's a lot of comedy. Dukes of Hazzard comedy and action, which is that's it for me. And some people I've talked to have said that the Dukes of Hazzard is corny, and I'm sure it is. And I'm sure there are some scenes, especially later on, after probably after season 5, after John Schneider and Tom Wopat went on their strike. After that, it started to get a little bit more corny-ish. There were some things in there that were corny, but I still think it's an awesome show. And the fact that the people from the TV, that whoever controls the TV and what goes on the TV at what time, uh, they must have had a sort of complaints from Karens and stuff saying, "Oh, this show is offensive because it shows the Confederate flag." We've already covered that. We already know, and we also already know that the Dukes of Hazzard is not racist by any means. And if you think the Dukes of Hazzard is racist, get off my channel right now. I don't care if it makes me lose a couple of subscribers and stuff. If you think that the Dukes of Hazzard is racist, get off my channel right now. Heck, if you dislike the video, this is a video that I'm going to let you all express your thoughts about this. And this topic is very controversial throughout the entire community of the Dukes of Hazzard. And we're all looking at one point of it. The Dukes of Hazzard was not racist. The Confederate flag is just another decal on the car. And it's a pretty daggone good show. And we think it should go back on air. Now, granted, Walmart, as you can have, if you've watched my Diecast Garage channel, you'll see that I'm walking through Walmart and I find the Dukes of Hazzard DVD set there. And that thrills me. That tells me that that Walmart is still willing to carry the Dukes of Hazzard and all the old TV shows that we love to watch, and at least I do. And Cooter's Garage, I've been to the Luray, Virginia location. I've also been to the Pigeon Forge location. Places like that are the reason that we're also helping put the tradition and the legacy of the Dukes of Hazzard into the next generation. Heck, whenever I have kids one day, that's what they're gonna watch. Do I care what other people think? No. I do what I want with my kids, if I ever have any. So, I hope this video was a help to you, and I'm sure it's a topic that's, like I said, is very controversial in the entire community of the Dukes of Hazzard. But it's a topic that needs to be talked about. And look out soon for a updated version of my Dukes of Hazzard collection. As you know, I've been to Cooter's quite a bit, both locations in Luray and Pigeon Forge. I'm yet to go to the Nashville location. That's next on my list. And if I do that, then I'll have been to all 3 locations. But I need to do an updated version of that. But that's coming soon. So thank you all so much for watching this video on Hazzard TV, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.